Hello there, sword friends. This is going to be a somewhat nonchalant video, if you will, and that is because I'm working on some other reviews right now. I've probably made this excuse in the past, but I've got some stuff going. It's just taking some time to edit, and I'll get it done when I get it done. In the meantime, though, I do have some fun questions to ask and some stuff to share and some shit to share thoughts on. So, since y'all seem to like me rambling, I will do just that. The first bit of fun stuff that I'd like to share, or rather input that I really need community-wise, is that I have been told I need an intro. I have somebody, one of our fellow sword friends, that is willing to help me do that. He has some experience in video production and fun stuff, and I think I have a general idea of what intro I would like. It's basically some montage of some stuff, random bits from this channel that have been entertaining, and a theme song of sorts. And so far the direction that we are going is like Team America World Police, but with swords. You know, like swords, fuck yeah, something, motherfucking swords, something like that. Anyway, if you have some ideas about song lyrics, or even not that, because I think we might have a general idea that way, I'd be happy to hear your thoughts still. But more importantly, what from the videos that I've had would you think is worthy of being included in a very short 10-second-ish montage? I generally go right to like swords breaking and shit happening, but maybe there's some other stuff that you think is noteworthy. And if you have some suggestions or moments that you think are worthy, then I would appreciate knowing what they are. I have a very critical eye towards my channel. In fact, it's very painful to edit myself and hear myself talk. I'm my own worst critic, though some of the YouTube comments would make me question if I'm the worst critic. Anyway, the point is that I don't always have the best eye for what is special about this channel or my ramblings or what I do that is meaningful and important to you guys. So if you have some thoughts on that, I would greatly appreciate them in the commentary below. The next bit of questions that I have are related to identifying a sword. I've got this fucking thing, so far identified as this fucking thing. I don't know exactly what it is. I know what it isn't. I thought it was an angel sword, and it's not. I confirmed that with them. But what I can tell you so far is that it's got a screw-on pommel. I can't get the handle off. It's a cylindrical handle. It's got a big brass crossguard. Something that looks like you could grip it, but it's not made for human hands. There's some jimping. I think that's what you call it, but file work along this part. And it's a big, thick, fantasy-inspired bastard sword, broadsword, something akin to that. It's made out of a carbon steel. It's got some rusting on it. But yeah, it's big and heavy. It's over 4 pounds. That's as much as my little scale goes to. And it's very uncomfortable. But I'm curious to know who made it. I got it from a seller out of Baltimore. I think it's from a Renaissance festival in that area, but I don't know what maker. So if you have some thoughts or ideas about who might have been the maker of said item, I would really like to know. It seems well constructed and sturdy. I just don't have any information about it, and I'd like to know more. So again, purchased from somebody out of Baltimore. It gives me the idea of a Renaissance festival because there were several other items that seller had from the Renaissance festival that were probably 10 to 20 years old-ish. So I'm guessing it's somebody that at least at this time I haven't heard of. So if you have information, again, throw in the commentary below. I would really appreciate the help. The next bit of fun that I can share is this here knife right here. This is made by Michael Curley, and he is the proprietor of Seventh Dragon Forge. It's a awesome chef's knife that I got for my wife, and you can see balance-wise, it seems to balance right on, I think this is what the choil would be, I don't know. But right above the grip is where it balances, and you can see it's a differentially hardened blade. It's made at 1095. It's got my swirly mitts dome on it. The grip is a little small for my hand, but this was made for my wife, and it's pretty much perfect for her. And the really more interesting thing about this blade is 3 ounces. Now, most of the chef knives that I've had, even some of the good ones, normally range between, say, 12 ounces and 9 ounces. Some of the hybrid or nicer, lighter ones that are geared to be lighter are 6 ounces, but this is 3 ounces. It's a featherweight. It feels like it isn't there. And so far, I have done plenty of cutting with it, and it has been really good. The only real complaint I would have is that how quickly and easily it stains. I mean, I can see it staining, or beginning to develop some stain just through the process of cutting up vegetables for dinner. I think that'll change as a patina starts to grow on the blade. But that is a consequence, I suppose, of using 1095. I have had 1095 swords. So when asked what type of steel I'd like to use, I didn't think anything of it, but this is perhaps a consequence. Maybe you know more about using 1095. Otherwise, lots of really awesome stuff about this blade. I intend on doing a review on it. Again, if you have feedback or critiques about what you would like to see in a review, since I don't typically review knives, let alone chef's knives, it's a little odd for my channel, but I said I would review one and show it. Let me know what you would like to see. I've used it quite a few times already, and so far it's held the edge extremely well. It's very comfortable to use. It's beautiful actually in its own right as well. It's not a folded piece, but there are some banding effects in the steel which probably are not coming out terribly well on the camera right now. But suffice to say, I'm very pleased with it, and I'm just kind of enamored with the practicality of things. Granted, the staining isn't terribly practical, but this goofy handle is an interesting shape that really I haven't seen on a lot of knives, but it's both a work of art in one sense, but also practical, like how this grip allows me to hold the knife, whether it be in a pinch grip or just a regular grip, how my fingers go around the little facets here are incredibly practical and make this feel like an incredibly controllable knife. So there's that. There are some little imperfections to it as well, and I'll note all that in my review, but for what it is, I am extremely happy with it. This thing, Mike can make a chef's knife for between 100 and 200 bucks. This would probably be towards the higher end scale of that, and yeah, it's just really cool. I suppose I should note I did buy it. He gave me a good deal on it, but I did buy it, and by good deal he kind of went a little overboard with stuff that wasn't quite in the plan, like differential hardening, and the facets on the grip and stuff weren't stuff that I initially noted, but he said, hey, do you want to do this, and you give it a try. So anyway, it's incredibly awesome. I'm really happy, but what I think I am most interested in is this grip. Even though it reminds me of the 80s, which is a decade I'm not terribly fond of, the practicality of it is really nice, and it has a lot of character in hand. Additionally, just the way the blade feels. I'm surprised I don't like the blade more than Mitsudomes. You'd expect me to go all ballsy about that, but it's really how this blade feels in my hand is it's incredible, and it cuts, as you would expect, quite well. Anyway, I will do a review on that. If you have thoughts on what you would like to see, please let me know. Additional bits of awesome. So I also have this acquisition. So among the reviews I'm working on are swords from Angus Trim. I got an old, kind of 10-year-old A-Trim 1555. It still has, I think, some relevant stuff based on what he does today, but it's older, and he's certainly evolved as a smith. I also have an Albion Svante, and I'm working on reviews for those. This I will also eventually review. It is a Michael Tinker Pierce. I said Michael Tinkle. No, Michael Tinker Pierce or Price. I should probably know, but most commonly I think people know him as Tinker, and that's maybe from the Hanwei Tinker line. I don't exactly know how he's associated there, if he just designs it or how his association with Hanwei works, but in any respect, that's where I was first introduced to him as a smith and heard about him. And he also makes swords himself, as you would expect. He's a well-respected American smith and a very talented craftsman. I got this, it was advertised on his Facebook site, and if you follow him on Facebook or you're friends with him on Facebook, every now and again he'll have a sword up for sale. It was advertised at $1,200, and it comes with what you see here, this wooden core scabbard wrapped in leather. It's not in perfect shape, but considering it comes with the scabbard is nice. The A-Trim and Albion that I have did not come with the scabbard, so even if I think of it as a shipping container, despite its imperfections, it's still actually really nice to have, and I think is a good starting place to maybe do something else with. It holds the blade pretty well, and there are some things I'm not terribly a fan of on this sword. Actually, right away when I got it, my eye inherently jumped to some of the imperfections on the sword, and once I drew it from the scabbard, the way it feels in hand is great. I mean, real similar to the knife I was just talking about. It feels absolutely incredible in hand, like somebody really thought about what the hell the sword should feel like. It's got a nice fuller that goes about 2/3 up the blade. It's got a real thin little tip here, and it's actually a pretty thin sword in and of itself. But yeah, just how controllable and agile this feels in the hand is is incredible. I haven't gotten a chance to cut with it or really do anything. I haven't even wiped the grease off the blade from chipping and whatnot, but so far this is just a beautiful looking sword. I really like the grip, the overall look. It's a peened blade, and yeah, you can eventually see me do a review on this one as well. It's, what I can say is it feels like I am really able to control the tip and get the pointy end perhaps in the other guy. We'll see when I get around to using it, but I'm looking forward to actually, since I really like the way this sword feels in my hand, now that the Weapon Dynamics computer exists, I'm looking forward to putting the results in, or the measurements in there, and maybe getting a better feel of why I think this sword feels good in my hand. It feels controllable and agile and all that, but we'll see how it cuts and see if we can maybe explain some of that with some of the measurement tools that we have available now. The next sword I can show you is an angel sword. Now this is one that I had for sale some time ago and it didn't actually end up selling. Right now I have a Shonezuka in there, I think that's how you pronounce this, but this wooden half sword, and this is meant to keep the koshrai assembled so that it can sit, and be displayed. But the angel swords, I'm not really going to hash up all of the can of worms that angel sword can be, because the mere mention of them as a manufacturer tends to bring some pretty harsh critics to the table and some pretty stern fanboys, and the conversation isn't always terribly constructive. But suffice to say, I like angel sword. They hold a special place in my heart, and I cannot argue that I'm not personally a huge fan of how they assemble in terms of the finishing. I have no real gripe with the blades, but the finish work on a katana, this is supposed to be like an $8,000 or $9,000 sword, and just how the transitions and everything work is not what I would expect from a sword at that price point. At least if it's targeting being a katana, in not necessarily a traditional sense, but having the functional parts of a katana. You can see that the saya doesn't really hold the habaki well. It's more of a friction fit. There's felt or something inside here to keep the blade from being damaged by the harder wood scabbard. But just Seppa and how it's constructed, not a big fan. So I got done and had the blade redidified. You can see that, and I guess before I show some stuff, and I'll probably share this in a review and, some better photos. I'll put some better photos on the Facebook page, and there'll be a link below. To the Facebook page, but not necessarily to that album. But it'll be on there as Angel Sword Ribbon something. And my intention in doing this was really to make something more feminine. Some time ago I mentioned a project that I had in mind to do a feminine-ish katana for various reasons. I had a wakizashi project that I was working on, but I sold the bare blade, and kind of my thoughts went along with it. But this, an opportunity came up to do something. The fittings are pretty generic. They're simple Edo period or Edo period Fuchikashira Subo, and they don't really have any theme. They're very blank canvases to work on. Then I have these kind of demon faces for Manuki in silver. And so it gave me a chance to maybe do something at least more feminine. Now, the 5% of my viewers that happen to be women can tell me if I actually hit the mark on this or not. But to me, this seems more feminine than at least the other projects that I have done personally. And not to say that as a guy I would really mind having it sit in my obi, or that I would mind using it. It's not, some sort of cliche idea of feminine, but I think it's maybe more graceful, and it reminds me of more feminine details than other swords do. But you guys can be the judge of if it's feminine to you or not. That's admittedly kind of what I was going for, but maybe I missed the mark. Let me know in the commentary. Anyway, here we go with the stuff. So what you can see is that there are some ribbons, and I don't know how well this is going to come through on the camera, but there are purple and silver ribbons that are in a pearl kind of metallic color, and they are flowing kind of and gradually get larger toward the kojiri here, and they're thinner towards the koiguchi up here, or the mouth of the opening. And they kind of flow and whatnot down the scabbard. Let's see if I can get a flashlight and blast it at my face here. Yeah, this really brings out the fingerprints more than anything, but you can see it kind of light up, this ribbon twirling effect. and I'll get some better photos to show you. But gloss black, horn pieces, silver habaki, and seppa, purple silk, a demon face. I think the ribbons kind of flow with the curly bits on the demon as well. I think that flows reasonably well. And then the blade is the Angel Sword Avatar series katana, or katana-like object if you want. It's very straight. It is a very minimal sori. There is a sori there. It's not straight, but it is definitely among the straighter. It weighs 2 pounds 1 ounce out of the sai in hand, as it is here, which classifies it as more of a medium weight. It's not terribly heavy, but it does still have a tip forward feeling. So the profile of the blade gives me the idea that it would be a fun cutter. I'm planning actually to use this to cut a few mats. I think it's been used to cut before, and I'm not going to have it repolished or touched up or anything like that. So I'll probably do some basic cutting with the sword as it is, and we'll see how well it actually works. But as it sits right now, my critique with Angel Sword is often that it doesn't function the way a mounted Japanese sword generally does, and now it does. I've got the saya where it fits right. Aesthetically, I think it is, the diamonds are nice and even. It's a fully custom mounted sword now, and I think that this koshirai is more warranting of the work and expertise that went into the construction of the blade. So eventually I'll probably end up selling it. I'm not going to do that until I do a review and whatnot on it, but yeah, this is a completely customized and remounted Angel Sword done up in a different way, and the way it came out, it actually feels really, really great in the hand. I'm happy with kind of the curves in the handle. It's got a smaller grip as well. My big sausage hands do fit around it, but this is almost a little bit small for me. But my wife likes it. She says it's the prettiest sword I've ever had done, and it fits in her hands really well. She's not a practitioner though, so for what it's worth, the fact that she can grip it and that it's comfortable and doesn't feel axe-like is meaningful feedback though. But yeah, everything came out exceedingly well. I am really in love with the project. I'm surprised that it still has as much kind of tip forward feeling as it does. It's not uncontrollable, and at 2 pounds 1 ounce, I would say that's still in the medium range of weights. Maybe it's light, but to me, 2 pounds 6, 7 ounces tends to be the medium range of swords. 2 pounds 1 ounce is definitely lighter, but it's not light like an Iaito at just 1 pound, or 1 pound, say 9 ounces, which would be what I would think of as a very light sword. Neither is it a 3 pound or 4 pound sword, which are among the much heavier weights for a sword. So it's nimble. I could totally do Iaito with it. I could just as easily, it feels like it would be in a very acceptable cutter. So I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more experimenting with it, but I just got it. I'm really happy aesthetically with how it came out. It's different. It's not covered with swirly mitsudomes, but I'm thinking it came out exceedingly well. If you have some thoughts, I'd appreciate hearing them in the commentary below. Anyway, that is all of the fun stuff, frankly, I have to share with you at the moment. There will be some other fun bits. Actually, no. You know what? I do have something else I can share with you. This is a blade that, frankly, is not mine, but is something that might be fun to see. I'm going to send this off for a client or customer or guy that I'm doing some trading with, and it is a shinsakuto blade, and I believe this is one from the eBay seller Kamunjo, if I'm saying the name correctly. But it's an opportunity maybe to see what some of the blades look like from said gentleman. You can often find there are some cool deals to be had. As in, you can get a blade like this sometimes for around $1,000, sometimes under. Shape-wise, it's big and hardy and a very strong feeling blade, but this is one of the better shapes. Very often I see pieces with a lot of koshisori or the curvature being deepest right at the beginning of the blade area here. This is a much more kind of graceful shape than I've seen from some of the blades he has. There's a bit of speculation on where these come from, and I've heard some people say like, hey, they're made, they're not Japanese made blades. I guess without knowing or seeing them made wherever they are made, I can't say with certainty, but the effects that I see on this blade are quite a bit in terms of the polish, the folding patterns, and just the general shaping are much different than what I see out of any company making swords in China. I've had a lot of swords from a lot of different forges coming out of China, and these are discernibly different than that. So I can say that. I don't know if they are made in Japan, but I would speculate that they may very well be made there, and under what circumstances I can't really tell you. But what I can tell you is that it's a very handsome sword, and if you can acquire a blade like this in a polish like this for around $1,000, I think it's a great opportunity, if nothing else, to get a folded blade with a, that is more unique than what you can often find from Chinese forges. If you have more information about the Kamonjo stuff, then I'd appreciate it if you throw it down. But what I can say from my personal side is I have purchased a blade from Kamonjo. I was happy with it. If you think you're buying an investment grade Japanese shinsakuto with papers and all of that kind of stuff, there's certainly a chance that you're going to be disappointed. They could be forgeries. They could be blades that are not Japanese. They could be blades that are made by a starving smith, or are practice pieces, or any number of things, but all of that is really speculative. What I can say you are getting is a blade that is very well shaped. It comes with a good polish where you can see some detail. Is it a pristine art polish? No, but is it serviceable and nice, and can you appreciate some of the tempering and hata and features of the blade? Absolutely. And is it different in terms of like the grain structure, the hata, well, not grain structure, but the hata, the folding patterns? I think there is a lot to appreciate. It does seem different than kind of modern made Damascus in China. I would speculate it's at least different than that. And so if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for something where you have a folded blade that is, reminiscent of and has a shape that's a little bit more unique and not quite the same thing as your average Chinese production sword, I think these are really compelling swords. The thing is that there's a lot of differences. Sometimes they're in various states of disarray, so you have to be sure you're getting one that is going to fit the type of sword you're after. But for what you can get it for, $1,000, I mean, I very frequently buy unpolished, well, not frequently, but frequently enough, I'll buy a blade from an American smith that isn't folded out of a modern steel like 1075 in an unpolished state for over $1,000. So to get a folded blade in polish, with the types of qualities I'm seeing here, it seems like there's some deals to be had. But I would love to know your thoughts, so please throw them down in the commentary below. Anyway, that for realsies is the last bit of fun stuff that I have for you. I'll share some more photos when I see kind of finished work on this blade. Not quite sure what direction the owner is going to take with it, but I will maybe share a custom sword or something like that when the job is done. Anyway, that is all I have for you. I hope you've enjoyed, and as always, cheers and thanks for watching.